How's it going?
Remember, please, 10 to 15 minutes. When I call you, please come back, because we can't get started until everybody's seated and quiet. There's refreshments in the other room.
I'll say, before we continue, one further word on the idea of the workshop interaction that we will be having with many of you. It is designed in a triad section. The first section being what is called persona reconstruction. The second section being what is called the generation of excitement and abundance. The third section being called the idea of astral expansion. It will, in that sense, shall we say, be taught in a triad fashion. Myself, I will commence with the idea of persona reconstruction. Anima will undertake the idea of excitement and abundance, the feminine counterpart from our society. And the galactic consciousness will conduct the idea of astral expansion. The idea, therefore, is that we shall proceed to demonstrate, alongside the triad phases of the workshop, the idea of the blending of the polarity of masculine and feminine energy within each and every being in the final culmination of the blended galactic energy. So there will be an underlying energy that will also be taking place, an underlying series of communications that will also be taking place aside from the actual vocal communications you will be hearing with your ears. We thank you in this way for allowing us at this time the opportunity to share with you such a multi-dimensional and multi-level co-creation and a shared dream. Before we now commence with what you may call our closing dialogue of the legacy, we will continue with question interaction briefly. Sharing!
Much love to you, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Okay. My one question would be regarding, let's see, how do I phrase this? Many years ago, I've had automobile accident.
All right.
And sustained injury in my neck. I have lived with pain, mostly on the right side for the past 20 years or so, it seems.
All right.
Okay, the other night I was fortunate to have a meditation which helped me release this.
All right.
And
exciting.
I know, it was wonderful. And tonight as I got up off the chair in my mother's house, my neck hurt for a moment.
That's all right.
Okay. Would you please help me define what caused the pain on whether it is stress, whether it is anger, and so that I no longer pick this up again?
The idea, first of all, to understand is that you have made a transition, that you have elevated yourself to a new level. The idea of having experienced what you may call the temporary, quote-unquote, lapse was not so much even a matter of stress, not so much even a matter of anger, but more a matter of testing yourself, of making sure that you had cleared the idea, that you had, in a sense, integrated all that you needed to integrate from having created that experience in your life that forced you to face certain things. You have accelerated yourself, no pun intended, highly. The idea is that many individuals will put themselves in certain limiting situations of that nature to clear out and process very rapidly, not over the course of many lifetimes, but over the course of a portion of one lifetime. Many of the things that might have taken many lifetimes to process. When you force yourself into that kind of a mold, when you force yourself into that kind of a template, then many times you face certain things that you may have otherwise taken many lifetimes to face and process. You have processed many of them. As you rose, in that sense, within the framework of your maternal energy, you gave yourself one last reminder that A, it was your choice, that B, you have created a transcendence, and C, in a sense, it was a temporary test, just checking in, making sure that the alignment is still there. Now, it will lead you, in our perception, to many other things, to many realizations that you can be of assistance to other individuals within the things that you have learned, within the information, the knowledge that you have gathered with your experiences. You can now begin to function on the other side of the doorway, in complete freedom in that sense, in a complete sense of service. There are many things that you learn that you will now be able to share with many other individuals who will be experiencing similar manifestations to what you created for yourself with that degree of limitation. Are you following me so far? Are you following me so far?
On the intellectual level.
On the intellectual level. How do you feel right now?
Wonderful.
Then you are following just fine on all levels.
But I felt wonderful when I knew I was going to talk to you.
All right. But you see, you are not really talking to me, you are talking to yourself.
Yes.
And that is always a wonderful thing to understand, always a wonderful thing to discover. Now, the idea also many times is that we will, as we have just done to some degree, share what is called rapid fire communication, so that you will make an attempt to focus a little more strongly on what is being said, and so that the real message underneath the words actually gets delivered. Because in a sense it disarms your analytical, intellectual, conscious self by creating it to focus on the words, while at the same time we deliver the true message underneath. In that sense, therefore, you have allowed us to slip something in which will now blossom and grow in a very natural way. You can, to some degree, think in the direction of now considering yourself one of the natural herbs of your planet, one of the natural flowering blossoms of your planet. You are going to expand mightily in that way. Rise up toward your sun, rise up toward the light, bathe in it, soak it up, let it fill you, let yourself glow, become one homogeneous energy with no idea that you are made of a collection of parts which can become disarrayed. Begin to feel yourself as one homogeneous light, and there will be nothing in you that can anymore ever again become misaligned. You understand?
Yes.
Does this help you?
Yes, it does.
One moment. May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do you like the animal upon your planet that you call raven?
I've had nothing to do with one. I have no idea.
Do you like them?
Yes.
You don't sound too sure.
Well, never having met one, I don't know.
All right. The next time you see one,
Okay.
allow yourself simply to contemplate its form, contemplate its movement, contemplate its action. There is, in a sense, a reminder there, a connection there, that may allow you to turn one last key, to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that a new idea of yourself is truly solidly locked in. All right?
Yes.
One moment. You have inspired us also to share a few other things. Now, this may seem to be not connected, but there are levels of it that are. From time to time, we have discussed the idea, of course, that vocal language is vibration, that you give it its power, and sometimes the vocal language that you use is representative and reflection of the vibration that you are. Many times you will understand that the way your language is translated from our concepts through the channel takes on unusual patterns, unusual frequencies, unusual usage. An orchestration is taking place, and much of these vibratory patterns are actually what is responsible for the reactions and the openings that occur within you, the things that you allow to soak and seep within your consciousness and all the different levels you have created it to be. We have, to some degree, shared with you some of the ideas of our ancient language that we no longer use in that sense. We will share two more principles. Let them fall into place where they apply. Again, this may not seem to be immediately pertinent, but there are aspects that are. We have discussed the phrase in our ancient language, ili akar, which means basically experience. We have, shall we say, dissected the word in the understanding that ili is our word for mirror. And this will translate into any language in the same way it is constructed in our language. You would spell it in your language I-L-L-I, the reverse reflection of the first two letters. It is the reflection in the mirror. More literally, Eli, in being referred to mirror, depending upon the context, will also refer to anything that is exchanged, anything that is returned. An echo can be called Eli, depending upon the context. This whole notion of reflections, this whole notion of the return, of the exchange of information, of putting out a radiation which then is echoed back by your reality, by your surrounding, that whole idea is Eli. Another understanding, plurality, singularity in our language. We have labeled our word Sasani. We call our civilization that. The people are Sasani. Now the idea of the usage of the term A and the usage of the term E will be the difference between the plural and the singular. In that sense, E sound will mean singular. A will be plural in that sense. An example, there is an animal in our civilization that exists in the ocean and would be similar to the idea of one of your seals per se, very different in many ways. It has a bluish-gray skin, very rough hide in that sense, and a brownish fur collar. The idea is that in singular, this is called Nemba, but in plural, it is called Namba. The idea, therefore, of Sasani, it is that the singular place of all of us, the singular place of all Sasani. Now, this language lesson, to some degree, has to do with the whole idea of the communication of yourself with yourself. Because as each and every one of you in the past has created yourself to be thought of as a collection of parts, in fragmenting yourself and fractionating yourself in that way, it requires a very analytical and sophisticated communication system to keep track of all those parts. Now that you are integrating yourself into one understanding, one consciousness, one homogeneous whole, communication within you is instantaneous. For it reaches all of you all at once. For you are all right here, right now. So there really is no separation between the idea of I understand it in my heart, I understand it intellectually in my head. It is all one understanding, created to be one understanding. Let it soak in, let it sink in whatever way it needs to, but at least allow yourself to begin with the understanding that you do know, you do communicate, you do understand in whatever way you need to. Let it process, let it unfold like the blossom, like the flower, as it does to the sun. We thank you for allowing us what appears to be this little divergence. We bid you pleasant and ecstatic dream life in dream time, which is the blending of the physical and the non-physical reality into one aware, awake state of malleable creativity, dream time. We thank you.
Thank you, Bashar, and a big, warm, fuzzy hug.
Thank you very much. Many of you are quite a bit more fuzzy than we are, yes. Shedding.
Hi, my friend.
And to you, good day.
I don't really have a question.
Well, thank you very much. Make a statement.
I will.
All right.
3 years ago, the first night I went to see you, you shared with me my agreements, which to me sounded like science fiction.
All right.
And the joys that I've experienced since then are life fact, I guess. And I know that you feel every time I send love.
Nice.
And I wanted to thank you for,
It is all right. We thank you, and we thank many for sitting at the table of sharing within the association.
Yes. They have been communicating quite frequently, and it's been my joy to find that the communications exactly parallel those that come from here on Thursdays.
We thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes, and for allowing myself to create confirmation, which sometimes we all really need.
Thank you very much for being your own confirmation.
Stephen sends love.
And to him as well.
And Rick.
Yes.
And, well, thank you.
Our love to you all. Shooting!
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you good day.
It's been a pleasure to hear you. And
Speak up so that
fun.
all may share.
It's been a pleasure to have fun with you this evening.
We thank you very much.
I have a question. We've
Proceed.
produced a video on Sedona and on what we call the Aquarian principles, channeled by an energy named Aton. And I would just like from you any additional direction or guidance to continue on with my mission here and my service in doing what I need to promote this and further it. I'd just like to know what you received.
We thank you. For now, we will say the same thing we said to another individual this evening of your time. It can help as a focal point. It can help as a focal tool and as a direction guidance system, if you will, in your calm and meditative states, focus on the blue-white electromagnetic light. You will become your own compass needle, and you will know the way.
Thank you.
We thank you very much. And sharing.
Hello.
And to you, a good day.
I am like you. This is my first time.
We thank you.
Could you tell me where is my son and my nephew?
Not specifically.
Okay, thank you.
One moment. We will give you what in your earth terminology is called an apology. This is not our domain. There is another that can help you. One moment. All we can share at this time is as a suggestion to seek communication from the domain of the sea. There is telepathic linkage that can occur through the co-species upon your planet that inhabit your ocean of dolphin energy. They can come in your dream. They can come in your physical reality. They can open up lines of communication to those that you seek. For it will open up lines of communication from you to yourself within your own heart. And along that heart line, can you send out a particular frequency of vibration that will attract you in no uncertain terms into a direct interaction with those that you seek. But this is not, as you say, our allowance. It is not, as you say, our domain at this time. We bid you love.
Thank you very much, and I bid you love too.
We thank you. At this timing, allow us the expression of the idea that we have termed the legacy. Listen with all the different types of ears that you have. Take us on one level literally, take us not literally at all. For we are now entering a true phase of the construction of dream time. As we spoke before, the understanding is that you exist on an energy level. We exist on an energy level. All things are made of the same energy, but there are different frequencies. Our frequency of reality to you is the idea of dream reality, etheric reality. Many individuals upon your planet have referred to what you call extraterrestrial consciousness as Etherian consciousness, and this is to some degree quite accurate. It is why it is in many ways easier for us to communicate with you in this way than using what you may call your physiological radio devices, for we operate on that frequency not at all. Biological senders and receivers are far more apt in that way once They are trained to identify with the energy of love in that sense and acceptance. The energy of light links all mentality. And you are linked not only to every member in your own civilization, but to all other civilizations as well, and sometimes in very specific ways to play out very specific ideas. We have been allowed at times to briefly discuss with you some of the notions now for some of the interactions taking place upon your planet that you have called in your language abductions, which we have chosen to call temporary detainments. We have reminded you that these interactions between your species and the alien species we have referred to as Zeta Reticulum are done through absolute agreement, even though on your part many of these agreements may be done unconsciously, and they are only brought to the surface reluctantly through the idea of the release of your fear. But you are serving each other in many ways. We have briefly discussed the understanding, as many of you yourselves are now beginning to realize, that your species operates on a very highly individualistic level, that their species operates on a very highly mass consciousness level, and that to each other you are extremely alien, extremely foreign. And just as much difficulty as you have had understanding the idea of how it is to operate as one consciousness, they have the difficulty of understanding what it is to operate as a single individual, cut off from the whole. In many ways, though they do not express it in exactly the same way, they have just as much fear and uncertainty about you as you do about them. You are learning to understand each other, and in understanding and blending with each other, you are performing services for each other. You are boosting and supporting each other's societies. You are aiding in each other's transformations. You are giving them what they need. They are giving you what you need, in that sense, to mature as a species, even as you allow them to mature as a species. They have come from a completely different direction in evolution. You have come from a completely different direction in evolution than each other. You are true polarities on many different levels, but now, through these interactions, through these givings, through these sharings, whether they are understandable on the surface or not, you have begun a true blending in many ways that will allow you both to mature, both to interact, both to become fast friends side by side in your expansion and exploration of the universe in many ways that you cannot yet understand, but in many ways that you will understand in the time to come. We have shared with you many times the arbitrary nomenclature that in many ways we have the existence of our evolution approximately 150 to 300 years beyond you. We have told you many times, in many cases, that this is an arbitrary nomenclature, and we will now endeavor to define and precisely explain the relative frequency of the time span of your reality and our reality. For there will be a seemingly time, a temporal paradox in what we are about to explain about your connection to us. It has already occurred to some of you. It has not occurred, quite surprisingly, to a lot of you. Once again, in many ways, what we are about to say you can take, in many ways, on many levels, very literally. But understand it is also archetypal energy, the substream consciousness of your realm, of our realm, of their realm, the Zeta Reticulum. We have told you in many ways that we are the representation of your own future selves. And in many ways that is allegorical, in many ways it is quite literal. Reincarnationally speaking, and also as a representation of the parallel type of civilization you yourselves will create upon Earth. But there is one other way that we also mean it, that we have not really shared with you. For it actually has not occurred to actually quite a large number of you, that even as we have endeavored to describe our physical reality, our physical appearance, you understand that we are an exact cross between the idea of your human shape and your Zeta Reticulum. We are the children of the blending. We are the hybrids that you are creating. We are your future selves and come back to remind you that there is a marriage going on that gives us reality, that supports us. You are, in many ways, our fathers and our mothers, and we are your children. And we send you our love across the ages. The idea of understanding is that this blending is taking place in your time frame, and that an evolution does occur where there is the population of our world in another dimension by the crossbreeding of what you call the reticulum and the earth human. And we are that population. And that is why we have remained in that other dimension so that we would not interfere with the marriage that is taking place, so that we would not interfere with the consummation of that marriage, so that we would not interfere, in that sense, with your right to experience our birth from your own point of view. But now, because of the timing and because of the sharing, we can be allowed at this time with great joy to share with you that we greet you as your children. And we thank you for allowing us to reflect back to you the brilliant trust you have placed in us, the brilliant future you have given yourselves, and the brilliant present you have bequeathed unto us. There are many more levels to this idea, and we will share those in time as well. But understand that there is a distinct purpose in the creation of our species by the blending of yours and the reticulum. You are creating the future you desire in many ways. And do remember one other thing. Another thing that many of you sometimes do not stop to realize. In what we call our present, we are also side by side with your future earth. And we interact together in joy, in harmony, in love. You are our legacy as much as we are yours. Our love to you. We thank you for your blessing. We thank you for your strength. And we thank you for your love and our life and our joy. And we only give you back what you have given us in allowing us to exist as we do. Infinite creation, dream you into ecstatic creations of reality forever and ever. Shivai. Shivai. Let it go.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight and every night. I love you all too.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. Starting in 6 weeks, a new era for us all. Nothing more to say, but thank you very much for the co-creation for the last 4 years.